What's up, guys? I'm here again, and this is gonna be a bit of a different type of commentary, and the reason I honestly have no idea how long this commentary type deal is going to be. So if it is, it probably will be a little bit of time. So sit down, relax, and this is gonna be a bit of a chill commentary, and the whole basis of this is kind of around death in general, and kind of religious and stuff like that. And I've heard that kind of like the best conversations are with people who don't believe in the same thing as you. And I thought this would be a bit of a better idea to kind of like sit down, chill out, and talk with someone instead of just talking to myself and kind of stopping and getting all musted up, or whatever the heck it's called. And I've invited here icynewyear. As you want to say hi?
Hello?
So personally, I do believe that he is quite a good person to for this
This topic?
yeah, the topic and commentary. Because first off, I am 15. For those of you guys who don't know, so I really don't have that much experience with it. I do have a bit, but I don't have that much. I see you are a bit older, and you do have a bit more experience with the subject. So instead of it being just normal commentary, it's gonna be a little bit of a conversation, and a little bit. I guess you could call it a little bit of sort of a podcast type deal.
Right, right.
So the whole concept of death. I see. What do you think of it? Like, do you think that there is an afterlife? What are your beliefs?
Well, I think that death is really tied to religion. I normally don't talk about religion. You've seen my stream. Anyone who's seen my stream knows that's one of the two subjects I don't talk about: religion and politics. But I mean, for the sake of this, I think to discuss death, we have to discuss religion. You know what I mean?
Religion and death tied together. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. But I personally am agnostic. I don't know. I firmly believe that we can't know if there's a God or not. I'm not saying there isn't. There might be. I'm just saying I don't know. So that means, I don't know if there's an afterlife. I don't know if, when I die, I go to heaven, I get reincarnated, it just ends. I don't know. And that's my basic feel on, what happens when we end. I have no clue.
I feel like I do have the more or less the same belief as you do, of having the belief of I don't know. And the thing is, the thing that has kept me more along the lines of I do have a belief that there is something after, is because I watched this one video, and it's by a guy named Swoozy06, I believe is his exact username. And he's actually a professional gamer, but he makes pretty intriguing videos. And this one was about death, and his whole concept was, you look at everything in the world, like everything, and something higher up has made that. Like, you look at a phone, oh, Apple made that. That someone in a company physically took the parts, put them together to make the phone. And even as you go higher and higher up, like, you see a tree, and that someone may have planted that tree, or else, like, there was a seed that fell down, and wherever that seed came from, that's where the tree was made. Like, the Earth probably was made by the Big Bang, if that is how it was made or not. But as it goes higher and higher up, that's kind of what reassured me of
Hmm.
of thinking in that way. And personally, I feel it was kind of a intriguing video, because it is a bit of a better explanation than what I have thought of. Like, instead of thinking just like, oh, it's a black abyss. So that is my personal views on it. And I just have a quick question for you, IC.
Sure, sure.
Why do you think now the time as ever, as more people are going, like, back before, a lot of people were really really religious, and religion was tied into their lives.
Hmm.
And like like the whole thing with like separation of church and state, like that just that just shows how large religion was. How come do you think that like religion has declined, and the belief of nothing, like nothing is after, and atheism has
I think
skyrocketed?
and this is once again personal opinion here. I think a lot of it has to do with our advancements in science. I mean, if you look back at ancient Greece, ancient Rome, the pantheons there, gods have always been used to explain natural phenomena that we didn't understand. There's lightning in the sky. We don't understand what that is. We assign it to a god. And I feel like as we get to the point as a society we're understanding our surroundings more and more, not as many people are clinging to an idea of a god. And I don't know. I don't know whether I feel that's a good thing or a bad thing. I personally see religion as an absolutely beautiful thing. It gives people hope. It gives people joy, and anything that gives people hope and joy is a good thing in my book.
Do you think that like though do you think that the truth would be better or worse, like no matter what it is, like if it is a dark abyss, do you think the truth would make people look at life differently?
Um, I'm not sure. And personally, if I think that if it could be definitively proved that there is no afterlife, I wouldn't want that to happen because that takes hope away from a lot of people. So I don't know. I don't. I think in this case, if the truth is there's nothing after we die, I kind of don't want to know that.
But then if the truth if the truth is that there is something after we die, then will people like will would do you think that the suicide rates would go up because people will be like, I don't like my life, and then be like, oh yeah, something is definitely after, and I know that, instead of people going into the question not knowing?
Um, I think that really depends on the person. I mean, to get into a bit of a heady topic here, I know we're moving from death into a more heady topic. Um, and I think one of the reasons you have me on here to do this is I personally have attempted suicide 3 separate times, um, which is something that actually surprises a lot of people that know me now because I'm a very calm, chill person. I enjoy life. I truly enjoy life. But when I was younger, I have schizotypal personality disorder. It's basically schizophrenia and bipolar disorder all wrapped up in one. And when I was younger, before I really learned how to deal with that, before I was medicated well, and before I could cope, it pushed me to the edge, and I tried to commit suicide. At that time in my life, I was very much an atheist. I thought there was nothing after death. I thought there was no God. As I've grown older, I've realized that that was a very closed-minded view, and that I can't know, and that's why I no longer identify as an atheist. But if I had known 100% for a fact that there is something after death, I don't think I would have tried to commit suicide. Because for me, suicide was a way to end the pain. And if I knew that there was something after, that's not what I wanted. I just wanted to be done. Yeah. I think that's what I have to say on that bit of it.
That is a bit deep, I must say.
Yeah, and I do want to say on the whole topic of suicide, as I sit here today, I'm so happy, so glad that my suicide attempts failed. At the time, I wasn't happy, obviously, but I'm I'm so grateful to if there's something out there I'm grateful is looking over me that they failed because I love my life now. It's not like I've had any major life changes. I've gotten married and all that jazz, but I came to peace with who I was well before then. It's just I found how to be happy, and that's been a huge thing. Um, I don't know. At the time, suicide seemed like the only answer, and I'm glad that it didn't work. Ninjas is going to be putting a link in the description for the National Suicide Hotline. So just anyone who's out there thinking about it, please get some help. Really, just if you're going to kill yourself, it can't hurt to take 5 minutes to talk to someone. It's a permanent solution that doesn't fix anything. So there are people out there to help. I just wanted to make sure I made that part very clear.
And don't worry, I will. It will be in the description, and it probably will be on the screen right at the moment.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So, also, have you ever thought of? I know that you were raised in a bit of a, what was it, Catholic?
Yeah, I was raised Catholic. I went to a private Catholic school for 9 years of my life, kindergarten through eighth grade.
So yeah, you were you were raised as Catholic. Have you ever thought of any other different things besides heaven and hell? Like personally, I've thought of reincarnation as some, and yeah. Have you thought of anything else besides Catholic? Catholic?
When Catholicism didn't seem right to me, I took a long period of my life, 3 or 4 years, where I was just searching and learning as much as I could about as many religions as I could find. And nothing has ever really clicked with me. Now, that's not to say that I think anything's ridiculous. I firmly believe reincarnation could be what happens. I don't know. And that's my feeling on all of it. I mean, I give equal credence to heaven and hell, reincarnation, just nothing. I feel none of them are more ridiculous or correct than any of the others.
I gotcha. Also, going back to the whole suicide, I've watched Where Dreams May Come, right? That's the name of it,
Mm-hmm.
correct? And
What dreams may come?
What Dreams
The
May Come,
fantastic movie, fantastic movie.
starring, I think it's like starring Robin Williams
Yep,
and
it's one of the few movies I like him in. But yeah,
but it's really an interesting movie because it's one of those movies that isn't afraid that really isn't afraid to kind of like veer in the direction of like death and what comes after and religion and kind of like tackle that subject.
right, right.
Um,
It's actually a very Catholic movie without saying it outright. There's a lot of like Catholic feel to it. The whole suicide condemning you to hell is used to be a very very Catholic belief. Suicide was a mortal sin, and in the Catholic religion, a mortal sin means when you commit it, you're going to hell. And because suicide ends your life, you don't have time to repent for that sin.
yeah. So like do you actually think that that could be like do you think that actually could be a possibility of like the whole suicide um becoming making you go into a hell?
Well, I want to point out that the Catholic Church, very recently, within the last couple years, excuse me, actually revised their position on suicide. And basically, they stated that suicide, in the case of mental illness, is not a sin. It means an act of desperation, and that you don't go to hell because you committed suicide because you couldn't get the help you needed. Which was a very progressive movement for the church. I mean, it was amazing. I still keep up with Catholic news, and I mean, I was raised Catholic. I may not believe in everything that the Catholic Church teaches, but it's still a part of who I am, and I do pay attention to it. But yeah, that was a hugely progressive thing for them to do, and I think that came with a better understanding of mental illness. Just because before, when we didn't really understand mental illness, we thought that someone who was mentally ill could either they were possessed by a demon, or they could just someone who was clinically depressed was just acting sad, and they could just pick themselves up by the bootstraps and be happy. I mean, and as we've come to a better understanding, it was amazing for the church to revise their position on that.
Definitely. But do you think like what do you think of that? Do you think that it could be true though?
I do not. Now, once again, I don't know what comes after, but I can't believe that any higher power who loves us could say, "Oh, your brain chemistry was wrong, and that caused you to kill yourself, so you go to hell."
But not even for mental illness, just someone who's like going through like a really really hard time and then ends up doing that, do you think that would end up?
I really don't know. I mean, I would hope not. That's about the most I could say on it. I would hope not.
Also, I know that they're really. I don't know exactly about heaven and hell. But with the whole subject, I don't know if it's heaven or hell or just purgatory. I think it's called. Like where you're still stuck in on Earth.
Hmm.
Like with the whole ghosts. Do you believe in like? Do you actually believe in ghosts?
Um, I'm actually very neutral on the subject. I haven't really seen anything one way or the other. I mean, I believe it could be a possibility, but other than that, I really don't have much to say. Do you have anything on that?
Yeah, actually, personally, honestly, first off, I've seen like I've seen plenty of the shows where it's like the Ghost Adventures and the and some of the newer stuff. And for a time that really intrigued me. I really don't think that it is completely true. I think maybe at some time some type of ghostly activity may have influenced them to actually start some of the shows. But the way they're doing it now, I really do not believe that it is completely and utterly true.
Yeah, I feel like most of those shows they're going for ratings, not for accuracy.
Exactly, and that still also has to do with some like the lines of like it's kind of like just TV, where a lot of stuff on TV is sadly faked instead of just being regular. Like if you look at like stuff like WWE, you can see like it's completely in. You know that like if it was real fighting, the ratings would probably not be as well as if it is faked.
Also, more people would be dead from it.
Oh man, but from with ghosts, it didn't actually happen to me, but with my father, um, when he was around, I believe he said he was somewhere in his either in his late teens or early 20s, and what happened is he was helping his mother because at that time he was either just helping out his mother or he was still living in his in his parents' house, and he was helping move some stuff from his basement, and he was cleaning out his basement. And when he was moving out his stuff, he kind of like looked up, and in front of him was an older man, and he was off the floor, and the lower half of him was in the wall, and he could obviously see through him. And my dad said I don't think he said he looked like anyone related to him. But it was really he said it was really weird because he could see him clearly, but he was halfway through the wall, and he was face to face to him, and they just contacted eyes. They just looked directly into each other's eyes, and it eventually went away. And my father, I know that this could not have been a dream from my father or anything like that because my dad just went into great detail of with what he was wearing, what he looked like. At the time, I really do not remember exactly what he said, but I remember what he said. Personally, was he was wearing one of those red and black checkered old hunting shirts and hunting hat, which I thought was kind of amazing how he just saw every single detail, and even though it might have lasted just a little while, just what a impact, because he right
Hmm.
now my dad is like right now 50, and if it was a dream, then by now he probably would have forgotten about it, but it is something that has struck his mind and has kept with him for so many years, for like 30 years.
Right.
um so that is definitely why I think he why it is true. Um, Also, another reason why I'm pretty sure it's true is because my dad not only is older with age, he also has pretty bad memory because of some medications he's taking, and he actually no he no what am I thinking? Yeah, so I think it was actually 40 years because he's right now 60 or 61. But 40 years, and he also has he has a pretty bad memory where he can't remember some stuff. Um, like what was his favorite bands when he was younger and stuff like that. If that wasn't true, and if that wasn't as vivid as he would say, then I would definitely then I
It's
wouldn't
obviously something
believe
that made an impact on him.
it's something that that obviously made an impact on him. And it definitely was something that kind of scared him into knowing it and telling me.
Right, right.
Um,
As someone who has had hallucinations most of my life, I don't feel I'm too qualified to talk about seeing people that aren't there. Sorry, I had to throw a little humor in here.
yeah. So that's definitely something that you have to think about. That I had to that I just kind of had to say about that.
Hmm.
Um, Also, along the lines of, do you? We are talking about the whole afterlife, heaven, hell. Do you actually believe in some type of God, some type of person or
I
thing watching over us?
I don't know. I mean, as an agnostic, I believe that I can't know. Um, I hope. I honestly hope so, because that would be a source of a lot of peace in my life. But I don't know.
But I know that with that whole thing, like miracles happen every day. Would that be just sheer luck, or do you think it might be influenced by something?
It could be. I mean, I hope that there's someone out there watching over me, but I don't know.
Have
Basically,
have 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 you ever had any type of experience something along the lines of
um,
this?
well, actually, living through all three of my suicide attempts could probably be called a miracle. I mean, the first one was with pills, and the amount I took, I should have been dead. I woke up the next morning, threw up most of the day, felt like crap for like a week, but was fine, no permanent damage, and I should have been dead. I mean, I talked to my psychiatrist about it later, and she told me with the amount of pills I took, I should have been dead a couple of times over. So, I mean, I guess you could call that a miracle, or it
That
could have just been somehow major luck. um,
or definitely a major strong stomach.
yeah. Um, I mean, I hope that there's an afterlife. I really do. Because there's a few distinct people I'd like to see there. Um, I'm gonna get into a pretty heady story here, real quick, and I know you know a little bit about this, but you really don't know that much. When I was 20 years old, I had a child. I was with this girl. Some major mistakes were made. Basically, she wanted to get pregnant, and she so that I would stay with her forever, kind of deal. I had a really good job at the time. And so she lied to me about being on birth control. Now, I was an idiot, and once again, public service announcement, always use birth control. Trust me on this one. But she got pregnant. I ended up leaving her, because she lied to me, and I can't be with someone who's going to lie to me. But I was always there for my son. Sorry, this one gets a little emotional. Um, but when he was 7 months old, she, the mother, she killed him. She threw him into his crib, and threw a bottle at him, and he had massive brain trauma, and he died. Now she's in jail. She's in jail for 50 some years. No possibility of parole. But that really, I was starting to get things under control in my life. I had gotten a handle on my disease, and that sent me off the deep end again. That was my third and final suicide attempt. But luckily, I lived through that. And I would love to think that there's an afterlife because I'd love to see my son again. And that gives me hope. The possibility of an afterlife gives me a lot of hope in my life. And that that whole thing that happened. Now, it was a terrible thing, and obviously, I wish every day that it didn't happen. But coming to terms with what happened there has given me a lot of peace in my life, and it's made me the person I am today. For those of you who know me, who see my YouTube or watch my stream, you know I'm a very calm, chill person. I'm normally a very happy person. It takes a lot to upset me. Part of that's because I've been through a lot in my life, and the crap doesn't compare. I mean, if someone comes in and trolls on my stream, who cares?
Ninjas, what?
I've been through so much worse, and I've survived and I've prospered out of it. So why let it get to me? Um, but coming to peace with my son's death has brought a lot of peace to my life in general, and I live every day um, knowing that life is a fleeting thing. That at any moment we could die because of anything. And so every day I'm happy. I do my best to be happy because life's short. And I hate saying this, but you only live once. And I don't want to talk about that YOLO crap where people use that as an excuse to be stupid. What I'm saying is you only live once. Be happy. Enjoy life. Work towards something you love. Um, and that's what's really brought me a lot of peace in my life is coming to the realization that maybe someday I'll get to see him again. Maybe not. If I don't, if there is no afterlife, at the end of everything, there's just nothing, which nothing is peaceful. I mean, you're not there to think that there's anything wrong with it, and that's okay. If there is an afterlife, I get to see my son again, and that's fantastic. But until then, until I find out the answer to that crazy question, um, I'm just gonna be happy in life. That's basically what it comes down to.
Definitely. Um, Two kind of small stories, really quickly, is I was watching online and I was just kind of going through the internet, and I have no idea how I got to this. Also, three stories. One has to go back to miracles, but I'll say that in a moment. Um, I was going through the internet and I found this news story. I think it was like on Ellen and stuff. I still don't know if this was true or not. Uh, but what happened is it was this kid, and I've seen some stories along the lines of this. Like there was this one, uh, many people have definitely seen this about that person who has like bad brain something wrong who had something wrong with his brain or something, and he went to heaven and then came back and God talked to him and he came back and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But this one story was about a kid, and what happened with him is I don't remember exactly what happened, but somehow he got into I believe it was a coma, and he explained how he went up to into a white room, and he kind of like got stuff to kind of like calm him down and make him okay with the situation. And then what happened is he saw people, and he was talking about how he saw like his grandfather, and he actually what definitely surprised me the most was he said that he had met his younger brother. Now, when he told this story to his parents, like the parents were really really amazed, and the reason was is the younger brother that he had died before he was born, or sorry, the older brother. The older brother that he had was actually died in the womb, and his parents had never told him about that, which which is all the more reason that I found that more amazing. I mean, that entire story could be a hoax, but I think it's along the lines of just thinking about that kind of like gives you hope, which brings back to the whole giving the religion and the afterlife gives people hope,
Right, right.
which I just personally thought that was an amazing story, and I thought that was cool, but um back to the whole miracles thing. If you don't mind me going back really quickly, I just
No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
there was one time in my life. There was this really. It was really really weird. Because I believe that not only me but my dad, first off, also should have been dead, but for a whole nother reason. Um, but somehow we survived, and it's two different stories. I'm not going to go into too much. I'm not going to go into detail with my fathers, but with me, this was about like 3 or 4 years ago. And what happened is I have a tree in my backyard, and this is a fairly large tree. I mean, it's uh 1.5 to 2 stories tall or high, and about I think it was like I have no idea how long ago it was. I think it was like 5 years ago or something like that. Point is it was a long time ago. From along the lines when a couple years after I first moved here, and I moved here when I was
Hmm.
in like second grade. So this happened around like fifth, sixth grade, and at the time, I was really, really an active and outdoor child, and we have like a little playhouse out back, and we have like a pretty large tree, and the tree is not surrounded by other trees. It's actually surrounded by a little bit of grass and like some rocks and stuff like that. And what happened is I climbed a tree one time, and I was there with my brother, one of my neighbors, and my it's not exactly a babysitter. It's called an au pair, which is basically a babysitter who stays overnight for like
That's like a live-in babysitter, right?
yeah, who stays there for like a year and babysits. And what happened?
Weird aside on this. I only know the term au pair because of the show The League. Uh, but go on.
And it's kind of crazy because what happened is I ended up climbing close to the top, and what happened after that kind of scared the crap out of me because I climbed to the top and the branch that I was standing on under me broke, and so I had nothing. I was not holding on to anything, and I fell. And next thing I know is I'm on the ground. Now, what happened is I landed on a flat rock. It may be just a time I don't remember exactly if like I felt any pain or anything, but I fell all the way down and I had no broken bones, really no bruising. And a couple years later, I actually asked my brother, and this is the part that astonished me, and what really, really made this story stick to me, like the entire story stick to me, is when I talked to my brother a couple years ago, because or a couple years after that happened, and I asked him like, what was his point of view of like what happened, is he told me he did remember it, so like I knew this wasn't like a dream or anything, and he told me that I kind of like I wouldn't say danced around the branches, but I kind of like I swerved around every single branch, and this isn't just like a one branch tree or anything. This is a tree that has like three fourths of it covered in branches, like besides the last bottom part. And for me to kind of like fall in between every single one, like there is no straight path to where I fell. The way I fell, I missed every single branch, landed on rocks, and I'm still here talking without any broken bones or bruising.
Hmm.
So that is definitely something I consider to be a miracle. I think in Flesh and Blood that is definitely a miracle type deal. And that day I believe that someone was definitely watching over me,
Hmm.
which which is why I believe a little bit in miracles, and why I think of like a person watching over us. But yeah, so
I gotcha. I mean, and I want to make it clear that, my religious beliefs and my, you know, uncertainty, I don't feel like self-righteous or anything. I don't look down on anyone's views. I actually kind of envy people who are strongly religious because of
they
the
have
amount of
somebody to
hope
look
that.
after.
Exactly, exactly. I actually kind of envy that. But do you mind if I say a comment here?
Sure.
I just want to talk about. I think we're coming close to an end here, so I just wanted to talk for a moment about. We've been talking about death, and I want to kind of go to the other side of it, talk about life for a moment. And I just wanted to say, there's a couple philosophies I live by, and I just want to put them out there in case anyone hears it, and maybe someone will hear this philosophy and just be like, "Wow, that means something." 'Cause I think that would be great. I mean, in life, Ninjas, actually, before we recorded this, you asked me, how am I so chill? How
Yeah.
am I just such a calm person? And it comes down to the realization that in life there's two kinds of problems. And this is going to sound cheesy, but bear with me. Oh, I got the hiccups all of a sudden. um, there's two kinds of problems. There's problems you can change and problems you can't. And the problems you can't change. You can't worry about them. Because if you worry about it, it makes things worse. When you're worrying about things you can't change, you're expending all this energy doing nothing. And you're getting yourself worked up, and often that makes the problems worse. And then the problems you can change, instead of worrying about them, take the energy you'd spend worrying and change it. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, that's it's the only kind of things you can worry about, things you can or can't change, and
Isn't
neither of them are worth worrying about.
isn't there like a prayer like that has to do with that?
Yeah, there is. It's
God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I
yep, to accept the
cannot
things I cannot
change,
change.
and give me the power to.
It's the
Or
yeah the courage to change the things I can, and then the wisdom to know the difference.
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's really been the key for me. It's realizing that worry is incredibly unproductive and just makes things worse. So why bother? Just smile, be happy. And being happy is a very active thing. You can't just, you can't wake up one day and be like, wow, I feel terrible. Why can't I just be happy? It doesn't just happen. You have to work towards happiness. Like when I was younger, my favorite color was blue. I absolutely loved the color blue. My favorite color now, and a couple people have talked to me about this, is yellow. And the reason why is I had a lot of blue in my room. I mean, my walls were blue. I was obsessed with the color blue. When things started getting really bad in my life, I realized that blue is kind of a downer color. So I replaced a lot of things with yellow. I painted my walls yellow. I got a yellow blanket for my bed, things like that, because yellow is a very cheerful color. And at this point, I've been surrounded by yellow so much that yellow is my favorite color. And it's just such a stupid small thing, but it made a difference. You just have to work towards happiness. You can't just lay back and hope to be happy someday.
So wait, one of my favorite colors was dark red. Does that mean I have a problem?
I would just say that's something that helped me. Surrounding myself with happiness and actively working towards it. I mean, and if it's something you have trouble with, get help. As we said, the National Suicide Hotline number is going to be below. But I mean, beyond that, counseling, I personally believe that every single person in the world should have to go see a counselor once a month. Just because it's amazing to talk to someone that you're paying to not have an opinion. They're being paid not to judge you. How awesome is that? You just get to unload, and you wouldn't believe how much better you feel after you just let it all out. But yeah, I think that's my 2 cents on the whole issue there.
That must be. So also, I just have a quick tidbit to say.
Sure,
or
sure.
a little bit of a story. A little while ago, I'd say a year or so ago. I don't know the exact times. I know it was
Right.
during school. It was mostly during my school year, and I I honestly, I hated the fear of death, and it really and truly did freak me out. And I think the fear was along the lines of not knowing.
Hmm.
And in the beginning of this, I told you guys about the video with Susie and the whole thing about how one thing is always made by something, like no matter what you look at. And I think that's definitely what settled me down with that. And still to this day, I still don't. Personally, I still don't get how a lot of people can uh, who a lot of people are a bit alright with the fact and have come to terms. I've heard that a lot, but I don't really, I think I don't really have I don't think I've ever really quote unquote come to terms with anything about anything anything overly with death. Uh, and I really don't get how people can come to terms like how people can come to terms so severely with atheism, and you die, it's a black abyss,
Hmm.
which it half intrigues me and half I would say a bit jealousy of how it's so easy to for them to come to terms with that and be like, yep, there's nothing after. Um, because with me, I do definitely I would like to believe that there is something after,
Hmm.
but again, with like you, I don't know, and I think not knowing not only gives you gives you not nothing stable to kind of stand under, but not knowing at times can scare you, because the unknown
Right, right.
a lot is something that can scare you, and along with everything with gods, I think in order to avoid not knowing what people did is they just replaced things with God, like, oh, there's lightning, let's make him a god, let's make him
Exactly.
God.
Exactly.
And now this is the great like the
It's the
whole
big it's
art.
the question that we can't answer. That's what it comes down to. It's the biggest and best of all the unknowns.
Exactly. Okay, so guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you, IC, for being here and having this nice conversation. If you guys want to see another one of these, leave in the comments below. We have some topics we have a little bit of ideas about. If you guys have any other if you guys have any other topics we can talk about, leave it in the comments below. And I must say thank you all for joining us. And if you guys are listening this far, thank you for listening this far.
And I just want to add thank you all so much, and be happy.
Yes, that's definitely a great word to end on. Be happy.